Have you ever looked at a world map and wondered how peoples were born? We are used to thinking that peoples are defined by blood, language, and land, three pillars that have endured for centuries. But what if I told you that one of the best-known peoples of the Caucasus is a true paradox? That their language tells one story, but their blood, their DNA, tells a completely different one. This is the story of the Azerbaijanis. A people who live at the crossroads of empires, in the land of fire. We think we know who they are, descendants of great Turkic tribes that arrived from the depths of Asia, Oghuz warriors whose horses made the earth tremble. It is a beautiful legend, heroic, but genetics arrives like a relentless detective and asks whether everything could have been different. And what if, after a DNA test, the modern Azerbaijani does not see the endless steppes of Central Asia, but something completely different? Something that does not connect him to the distant Altai, but to his neighbors, to those with whom he seemed to have nothing in common. This is an investigation, a deep dive into the very essence of a people, where myths collide with chromosomes. Today we will ask the fundamental question: who are the Azerbaijanis really? The answer hidden in their DNA may forever change our perception of the history of an entire region. Prepare yourself, we begin. To understand the enigma of Azerbaijani origins, we must first look at their land. Azerbaijan is not just a country, it is a bridge, a gateway between Europe and Asia. To the north rises the mighty Caucasus mountain range, which for centuries has served as both wall and refuge. To the south stretches the Iranian plateau, cradle of ancient civilizations. Anatolia lies to the west and the Caspian Sea to the east. For thousands of years, armies, caravans, prophets, and entire peoples have passed through this land. Here the Zoroastrian fires burned in temples. Here flourished the mysterious state of Caucasian Albania, about which we know so little. Here Persian shahs and Arab caliphs ruled. This land has absorbed dozens of cultures. The names of its cities, Baku, Ganja, and Shamaki, sound like ancient music. And here, in the 10th century after Christ, new actors arrive. From the heart of Asia, from the foothills of the Altai, a massive wave begins to move westward. The Turkic Oghuz tribes, ancestors of modern Turks, Turkmen, and Azerbaijanis, bring with them a new language, a new culture, and a new religion, Islam. They create powerful empires, such as the Seljuk state. History seems clear and understandable. The ancient population was assimilated, and in its place emerged a new Turkic-speaking people. This version dominated history books for decades. It is logical. It is simple. But science has a problem with simple stories. Because real life, true history, the kind not written on paper but encoded in the spirals of our DNA, is almost never simple. And this is where our genetic investigation begins. The central question is this: if Azerbaijanis are descendants of the Turkic Oghuz who came from Central Asia, then their genetic profile should resemble that of other Turkic peoples, such as Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and Uzbeks, and clearly differ from their geographic neighbors, Armenians, Georgians, and Iranians. Logical. Absolutely logical. When geneticists began their studies, they expected to see exactly that. They searched Azerbaijani DNA for a clear and powerful signal from Central Asia, left behind by the great migrations of peoples. They took samples, conducted analyses, and examined the results, and they were frozen in shock. There was no such signal, or to be more precise, it existed, but not as everyone expected. It was not the roar of a storm, but a barely perceptible whisper. Instead of a genetic ocean from Central Asia, they saw something completely different. Something that forced them to rethink everything they knew about the history of this people. The DNA data not only failed to confirm the old theory, it refuted it, and it proposed a new one, far more complex and fascinating. The theory that the Azerbaijani people did not arrive from elsewhere, but are native to this land, a people who underwent one of the most incredible cultural transformations in human history. They changed their language, but not their blood. How is this possible? To understand it, we must open the genetic code. Let us begin with the male lines, with the Y chromosome. The Y chromosome is passed from father to son and almost never changes, like a surname. It is the perfect marker for tracing ancient migrations of conquerors. If the Oghuz truly moved to the Caucasus in large numbers, we should find their genetic signatures here. The haplogroups characteristic of Central Asia, C, Q, and some lineages of R1a, are indeed present among Azerbaijanis, but their proportion is small, between 5 and 15% depending on the region. It is a trace, but not a mass migration. A genetic echo, not a main voice. A drop of ink in a glass of water. This was the first clue that cast doubt on the entire classical theory. But if these Turkic haplogroups do not dominate, then which ones do? Which genes form the foundation of the Azerbaijani people? And here the real impact begins. The most common male lineage among Azerbaijanis is haplogroup J2. This genetic marker originated in the Near East in the region of the Fertile Crescent. It appeared approximately 30,000 years ago. Its carriers were the first farmers of humanity. They invented agriculture, and they spread from Mesopotamia, carrying with them new technologies and new genes. Haplogroup J2 is the most typical marker of the ancient Near East and the Caucasus. It appears with high frequency among Georgians, Armenians, Chechens, Ingush, and Iranians. This is not the gene of the steppe nomad. It is the gene of the ancient farmer whose ancestors lived in these lands for thousands and thousands of years. Thus, genetics shows that Azerbaijanis are not foreigners in this region. They are part of the ancient Caucasian and Iranian world. The language changed, but not the blood. But this was not the last discovery. In second and third place among male lineages appear haplogroups R1b and G2a, and again, this is a key clue. Haplogroup G2a is considered a true identity card of the Caucasus. It is dominant among Ossetians and Georgians. It is the gene of populations that have lived in the mountains of the Caucasus since the Paleolithic. People who witnessed the retreat of the glaciers and founded the first settlements. This deep genetic base is fully represented among Azerbaijanis. Haplogroup R1b is even more interesting. Many people know it as a European marker, associated with Celtic peoples. But its oldest branches did not originate in Europe, but in the Near East and Western Asia. This ancient lineage of R1b is widely distributed among Azerbaijanis and their Armenian neighbors. It connects them with the ancient populations of Anatolia and the Iranian plateau. If we put all the evidence together, the picture becomes clear. The main male lineages of Azerbaijanis do not point to Central Asia. They point to the Caucasus and the Near East. They are the same genetic markers that dominate among Georgians, Armenians, and Iranians. Genetically, Azerbaijanis are part of the ancient Caucasian and Iranian world. There are regional differences, of course. For example, a somewhat higher presence of haplogroup J1, associated with populations of Dagestan and with speakers of Semitic languages. But the overall picture is unequivocal. The foundation of the people was local, indigenous. It existed here thousands of years before the arrival of the Turkic Oghuz. Turkic genes formed only a thin layer over this ancient and powerful base. This represented a revolution in the understanding of history, but it raised a new question. If the male conquerors did not change the gene pool, perhaps the answer lies in the female lines. Let us now look at the maternal lineage. If the Y chromosome tells the story of wars and conquests, mitochondrial DNA passed from mother to children tells the story of home and continuity. It reveals who the mothers of the people were. The analysis of Azerbaijani mitochondrial DNA offered an even clearer answer. The female lineages turned out to be almost entirely local, Caucasian, Near Eastern, and European. The Central Asian and East Asian component in the maternal line was practically non-existent. It appeared only within the margin of statistical error. This was the final and decisive proof. It allowed researchers to reconstruct what really happened. In the 10th century, the Turkic peoples arrived in the Caucasus, but not in large numbers. They were primarily a military elite. They did not exterminate or displace the local population. They became the new ruling class. They married local women, descendants of ancient Caucasian Albanians, Medes, and Persians. These women raised the children. They passed on their mitochondrial DNA, their traditions, and their cultural code, but the language proved stronger. The language of the elite, Turkic, became the language of power, the army, and trade. It was the language of prestige. Over several centuries, local populations who spoke Caucasian and Iranian languages gradually adopted it. Thus emerged a phenomenon known as elite dominance and language replacement. The people did not change, their language did. It was not a genetic revolution, but a cultural one. Azerbaijanis are not Turks who became Caucasian. They are ancient Caucasian and Iranian peoples who adopted a Turkic language. This idea explains the uniqueness of Azerbaijani culture. It is not a pure Turkic culture transplanted to another land, it is a complex fusion. The Turkic element became the main linguistic vehicle, but it did not erase the older layers. Let us look at Azerbaijan's main holiday, Nowruz, the celebration of the spring equinox with jumping over fire and painted eggs. Its roots go back to Zoroastrianism and ancient Persian culture. It is not a Turkic inheritance. It is the legacy of very ancient Iranian peoples, whose genes still flow through the veins of Azerbaijanis. Let us listen to traditional Azerbaijani music, mugam. This complex modal music has much more in common with Persian and Arab traditions than with the songs of Central Asian nomads. It is the heritage of the great civilizations of the Near East. Let us look at the architecture. The Maiden Tower of Baku and the palaces of Sheki. In them one can perceive Persian, Shirvani, and Arab influences. And above all, the Oghuz Turkic language, which acted as a powerful unifying element. It absorbed numerous Persian and Arab loanwords, but retained a Turkic grammar. It became a new linguistic home for an ancient people. That is why this story even connects with unexpected figures. Freddie Mercury, whose parents were Parsis, carriers of an ancient Iranian culture, is indirectly linked to this same cultural legacy. And Muslim Magamayev, whose voice conquered an entire era, sang in Russian and Azerbaijani, but in his music resonated Italian opera and Persian mugam. This is the cultural code of Azerbaijan: openness to the world, the ability to absorb what is foreign and transform it into one's own. So what does it mean to be Azerbaijani from the perspective of DNA? It means to be a living bridge, to carry the genetic memory of the first farmers of Mesopotamia, to be descendants of the builders of the mysterious Caucasian Albania, to preserve the legacy of ancient Iranian peoples, Medes and Persians, who founded great empires. And yes, to also carry a small portion of the blood of the Turkic Oghuz, who brought their language and forever changed the destiny of the region. Their genetic contribution was limited, but their cultural influence proved decisive. The Azerbaijani people are not a block carved from a single stone. They are one of the most complex mosaics in history, and in this lies their strength. The ability to unite within themselves the Caucasus, Iran, and the Turkic world, to be at once ancient and young, Eastern and Western. Let us return to the initial question: who are the Azerbaijanis? DNA offers a clear answer. They are indigenous populations of the Caucasus and the Iranian plateau, who, as a result of complex historical processes, adopted a Turkic language in the Middle Ages, mainly under the influence of the Seljuk Empire. This story teaches us something fundamental. There are no peoples of pure blood. The idea of racial or genetic purity is a dangerous myth. Modern science shows that every nation is a complex cocktail, the result of countless migrations, conquests, and marriages. Our DNA is not a wall. It is an open book in which the entire turbulent history of humanity is written. The history of the Azerbaijanis is one of the clearest examples of this. It shows that identity is not defined only by genes, but also by culture, language, shared history, and a common future. It is a story about how language can travel faster than people, and about how an ancient land can adopt a new language without losing its deep genetic memory. Here lies the true magic of history. Thank you for walking this path with us. If you found this genetic investigation interesting, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and write in the comments which people you would like to see analyzed next. Until next time.